Well, good evening, laddies, lasses, and lasses, and welcome to the Click and Marry Gaycation. Make sure to pick up the Gaycation emotional support team before it's gone forever and you regret it when you try to go on your next gaycation, but the Gaycation demon is nowhere to be found. Speaking of people who probably don't appreciate the goodness of a gaycation, insane parents. More specifically, entitled parents. If there's one thing that never seems to run dry on the internet, it is unhinged parents. And I cannot wait to get into these insane stories with you. Enjoy. Mwah. r/entitled parents. Entitled mom tries to reserve the baby name I've had since I was 12. Oh, you can reserve names now? Kind of like a patent. I, 28F, am 8 months pregnant with my first child. Ever since I was a kid, I have loved the name Eliana. It is unique, feminine, and just always felt special to me. And it's not a tragedy. That's the most important part nowadays. My friends and family have known this forever, even jokingly calling dibs on middle names when I was still in high school. Fast forward, my cousin, 29F, is also pregnant by surprise and recently announced she's having a girl too. At the baby shower last week, I mentioned that we have officially chosen Eliana as the name. She froze. In front of everyone, she goes,
No, that's the name I am using? I already told my mom and everyone at work you can't use it?
Oh yes, indeed, dear cousin. Didn't you realize I've already patented that name in front of my colleagues, who totally exist, and this isn't a weird way of peer pressuring you into stealing your baby name. I said, I've had this name picked out since before you even graduated high school. You literally made fun of it in the past. So she has acknowledged that this name is actually what OP wanted all this time. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I would personally care that much. I think the cousins would just have a blast having the same name. But this is a really weird thing. So she's actively stealing the name that you wanted, but then also calling dibs on it. She's not only a copycat, she's trying to patent the name in the family that you decided first. Oh, what a stinky cousin. She says,
Doesn't matter, I'm the first to say it now while we're both pregnant. It's mine.
Is that really how it works? I know you wanted this baby name forever, but I call dibs on it now, 10 years later, and that's when it really counts. You can ask my colleagues, which totally exist, trust me. My aunt, her mom, then backed her up saying,
Just let her have this. You can always pick another name.
Now why can't she pick another name? She's also the one being weirdly defensive about the kids not being able to have the same name. Just let the cousins have the same name then, in worst case. Who gives a shit? No, I am not picking another name for the baby I have waited years for just because my cousin impulsively called dibs. Entitlement level. Naming rights thief. I told her she can use it too if she wants, but I'm not changing. If we both end up with daughters named Eliana, that's her hill to die on. I mean, I think the kids would just think it's fun, to be honest. Who cares? My husband's family has 4 cousins named Michael. It happens, and it's okay. She doesn't get dibs on it. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, and it sounds like a blast for the kids. Oh, the Michaels are at it again. That just sounds like one of those kids movies from the 90s. It just sounds like a vibe. But yeah, this is one of those weird things that for some reason tear families up. It's like fighting about inheritance money and naming kids. Those seems to be the most common things that just tear families apart for no good reason. That's amazing, man. Entitled aunt gave my baby a piercing without asking. Okay, how old is the baby? Are you referring to the kid as a baby, or is it literally a baby getting a piercing? Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. I, 26F, had my first baby girl 3 months ago. 3 months old! It's literally a tiny patat baby. It's not even a toddler yet. I had at least hoped for, the title to be oh, it's my baby. But they're a teenager now, they're 13 and making questionable choices, and my aunt agreed to get them a piercing even though I didn't consent and, not being 18, blah, blah, blah. But they're literally 3 months old! They can't even talk yet! We have been really cautious about visitors. Basic hygiene, no kissing, you know the drill. My aunt, my mom's sister, come to visit last weekend. She's always been overbearing. She kept talking about how cute my baby would look with earrings. It's 3 months old. It's 3 months old! I brushed it off and said, we're not doing piercings for a while. Maybe when she's older and can choose, maybe a bit older than in 3 months. Apparently, no meant ask forgiveness, not permission. Ooh, we're using the God logic here. Don't ask for permission, just ask for forgiveness after. Dear Lord, I stole this bike I really wanted. I mean, I didn't ask permission or whatever, but forgiveness and all that? Yeah, cool. I went to take a shower while my mom and aunt watched the baby. When I came out, my daughter was crying, and I saw the tiniest glint of gold in her earlobe. My aunt proudly said,
Surprise! I used my friend's gun kit. She barely felt a thing.
Apart from the, blood and the crying, I guess. I lost it. I told her she had no right. My mom was horrified too. She had no idea this was going to happen. Okay, full disclosure, I'm not a piercing expert because I have a little thing for needles. We don't really get along that well, if I put it that way. But isn't this like a risk for infection in general when it comes to piercings and stuff? Putting that stuff in a 3-month-old just sounds like baby abuse. Like, it's so stupid. We took my daughter to urgent care just to make sure there was no infection. Yeah, exactly. This is something you have to keep tabs on if you're an adult getting piercings and stuff. But like a 3-month-old? Are you kidding me? I called my aunt the next day and told her she's not allowed near us for the foreseeable future. That is entirely valid. She's treating the baby like it's a doll.
Aw, this doll would look great with piercing. What happened if we burn the hair off as well? Oh, that could be fun.
She cried to my mom about how
Kids these days are so dramatic.
yes, kids, those 3-month-old that can't even talk or defend themselves yet when their crazy aunt is putting needles through their body. And that she was
Trying to bond with her niece.
Trying to bond with her niece.
You want to know how you bond with a 3-month-old? You stand above it, smile, and do this. And then you let them barf on you. That's how you bond with them. Piercings, alcohol, and raves, that comes a little later, okay? That's later. No, you violated my child's body without consent. That's not bonding, that is assault. Honestly, I would probably press charges about this. I would be livid if a random family member decided to punch needles through my 3-month-old's body. That is insane. Let mom know that your aunt should consider herself lucky that you don't file charges, and that she may not be allowed near your child until she's old enough to fight back. Forget consider herself lucky. Press charges and report her to child welfare authorities. This is beyond outrageous, and she could have seriously injured the baby. May not be allowed, make that never allowed. I don't think I could ever trust a family member again that did something like this. Like, how would you even dare to leave the baby alone with them in the future if you know that they can just spontaneously start punching piercings through your 3-month-old babies and be like, infections, what are those? Not to mention that, maybe the kid should be the one to choose if they even want earrings or not. There's like the consent of the matter, and there's also like the health aspect to it. Like, this person should not be let near kids. This is insane. Completely different meaning for like they're not allowed near playgrounds. It's not because they're like a predator creep. It's just because they punch piercings through random babies. Oh my fucking god. The bride wore red. My wife and I received a wedding invitation from an old shipmate earlier this year. I had served with him in the Coast Guard and had stayed in touch over the decades. So let's just call him Chief and his fiancée Chiefette. I called Chief the next day and formally accepted for the two of us and sent the RSVP back, just to be uber formal. Then my wife and I marked our calendar, set aside funds for travel, and went back to normal living. 2 weeks later, Chief called with an odd request. He wanted my wife to wear her wedding gown to his wedding. That's weird. Usually the drama is the other way around. Someone else shows up in a white dress or a wedding gown, and that's like the whole drama thing, is some, cursed stepmom wanting to take attention or whatever, but I've never seen it in this direction. That's weird. Long story short, they had found out that the Chiefette's mother intended to wear her wedding gown to her daughter's wedding. Oh my god, I fucking called it! That's exactly what it is! Oh, that's beautiful! Yes! Instead of making a fight out of it, they were asking all the guests, well, the female guests, I have no idea what would happen if I turned up in a wedding dress. Do it for the men too! Everyone wear wedding dresses. I would be so fucking on board with this. I'll help pay for other wedding dresses. I am fine with this. Do it! To at least wear white, if not an actual wedding dress. My wife was delighted. She could still fit into her dress and, as she put it,
when will I get another chance to wear this silly thing?
Oh my god, this is so amazing. So the date came. We showed up, me in a nice suit and my love in her dress, and walked into a room chock full of women in white. The plan was that we would all walk into the chapel when the preacher was ready, but Chiefette wanted us all in this room when her mother showed up. I joined the chief outside the main doors and watched as his future mother-in-law exited her car in an explosion of white tulle. So she actually did it. She actually went through with her own wedding gown. That is absolutely insane. I can't wait for this. She was wearing something that would have suited a Disney princess. Okay, so she's not only wearing white, she's actually trying to one-up the bride. That is insane. She was wearing something that would have suited a Disney princess, but marched up to us like a marine storming a beachfront, clearly expecting resistance, if not rejection. Oh, she's looking for a fight. Oh my god, yes. Chief simply welcomed her warmly and held the door for her and his future father-in-law, who had the grace to look ashamed. She strutted into the room, nose in the air. I'm gonna be honest, I think I would divorce someone like this. I'm gonna be honest, like if my literal kid is getting married and my wife is like,
I'm gonna make the day about me and I'm gonna one-up her wedding dress.
I'll be like, honey, if you go through with this shit and do this to our literal kid that is getting married, I'm gonna file papers before the wedding. Like, this is not something I would ever put up with. Stop being such a damn simp. She strutted into the room, nose in the air, then froze, staring at 20 or so women, all wearing white, with most wearing gowns as fancy as hers. I don't know what Chief expected, but he seemed surprised at her meltdown. The woman started screaming at everyone, calling them out on how shameful they were to wear white to her daughter's wedding, and how they all had to leave.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
Her husband quietly pointed out that she, herself, was wearing a wedding gown to her daughter's wedding.
That's different, damn it! I am her mother, so it's actually my wedding because I gave birth to her, so she belongs to me, her body is mine, and therefore it's actually my wedding because my property is getting married.
When she discovered that the bride had specifically requested the women to wear white, she deflated like a punctured beach ball. Moments later, the music started, the doors opened, and we all entered the chapel. We had barely sat when the wedding march started, and Chiefette, wearing a stunning red and gold gown, walked in on the arm of her father. Her mother left almost immediately after the ceremony. Later at the reception, I found out that Chiefette had based her revenge on posts she had read on Reddit.
So congratulations, people, y'all did it. Oh my god, that is so beautiful. Do you see all the horror stories about like entitled people showing up in wedding dresses?
And you do this preemptively to deal with it.
You didn't have to make a fight out of it. She just stormed out on her own.
That's beautiful. Update. I called Chief and Chiefette answered. I let her know that I posted and she pulled up the post while we were on the phone. Good news is that she was delighted by the comments, but she's putting the kibosh on sharing any pictures. I mean, that's valid, privacy on internet and all that. Apparently, she's trying to reconcile with her mom and various members of her family who believe she went too far. Nah, those family members are completely in the wrong, in my opinion. These kind of family members always ask the person who was the target and not the instigator to be the one to always be the bigger person and apologize and etc, etc, etc. Like, the mom should consider herself lucky that she didn't get divorced because of this. I would totally divorce someone for trying to ruin our kid's wedding. Like, are you kidding me? That's like so far over the line. And doesn't want to kick the hornet's nest any harder than absolutely necessary. I mean, yeah, no, the mom definitely deserved this, if not more. This story has my absolute endorsement. This is so funny and beautiful. Entitled Mom demanded I give her my late brother's service dog. My brother passed away 6 months ago. He was a veteran, and his service dog Max was trained for PTSD, mobility support, and seizures. Max is 6, incredibly well behaved and still grieving. Since my brother passed, I have been caring for Max. I'm his legal successor according to my brother's will. Max is family now. Enter my cousin, 34F, who I haven't spoken to in over a year. She messaged me out of nowhere saying,
I heard you have a service dog? You don't need that. My son has anxiety and could use a therapy dog.
I mean, then get a therapy dog, not like a PTSD, mobility support, and seizures dog that was also given to this person through a will. It sounds like you can probably get a more fitting dog elsewhere that doesn't mean stepping on, the rest of the family's toes and literally going against a will. I explained that Max isn't just a therapy dog. He's a trained service animal with years of specialized work, and legally, I'm his handler now. She replied,
So you're choosing a dog over a child's mental health?
No, you are choosing to pick an argument in your family over your child's mental health. If you, as the parent, cared about your child's mental health, you would get them an anxiety support dog, which is trained and more fitting for what your child is dealing with. This is just you being entitled and weird about it, and you don't want to put your child's mental health first unless it comes for free because someone else in your family pays for it by giving you a trained dog for free. That is what this comes off of. Your child's mental health only matters to you when it's free, okay? So you're the shit here. Then she offered $300 for him. Ooh, okay, correction, almost free. $300 for a trained service dog who costed $20K to train and has been through hell and back with my brother. I said no. She showed up at my door the next day with her son. My god, I feel so bad for the son, man. I feel so bad. I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling when you have like a shitty parent or family member that's kind of like dragging you along with the arm, and you just know they're causing a scene or like yelling at a service worker or something. You're just standing there like a 10-year-old just like melting through the ground, you know? Oh my god. I didn't answer. She called me cruel, said I was wasting Max's potential. I told her the only waste here was her audacity. Also, another little side detail that I just realized. If she was so concerned about her kid's anxiety, why do you drag your kid along to pick a fight with family members about a dog? That seems to be like one of the last things you should do when you're worried about someone's levels of anxiety. You know, maybe not putting them in very awkward and like disagreeable positions with family members that should otherwise be like a safe place for them. No, maybe that's the logic. Yeah, this mom doesn't care at all about her kid because she won't get like a dog that is more suitable for it, and she will gladly put her kids in these stressful situations despite the anxiety just to get what she wants. You know, she's a piece of shit mom. Entitled Parent wants me to change plane seats because my face scared her kid. I, 24M, am visiting Boston for the week and just got off a 5-hour flight a few hours ago, and I'm still kind of shaken up and upset. For context, a few months ago, I had a procedure called an orbital eccentriation.
Eccenteration? I am a professional narrator.
You can search that up if you want. For an aggressive cancer that left me with what is basically a hole the size of a pool ball where my right eye used to be. Oh, you can wear an eye patch and look really badass. Or you can get a fake eyeball. I met a girl once who had a fake eyeball due to like a woodworking accident. And we were standing at the pub just drinking beer, and she said, "You want to see something?" I said, "Yeah, sure." She just plopped up her eye and put it in my hand, and I was like, damn. That's kind of cool. And she's like, "Yeah, this is how I scare away creepy dudes." I mean, to be fair, I think it was more like us shooting the shit and laughing about stuff and being funny, not the insinuation that like, "You're a creepy dude, here's my eyeball," you know? I realized how that sounded at first. I typically don't wear any facial coverings or prosthetics to cover it because of how recent this was, and how I'm still attempting to come to terms with the fact that I'm basically missing the upper half of the right side of my face. Yeah, I can imagine you wanted to heal properly and stuff. I'm wondering if the kid actually thought this was like scary or whatever. If I was the kid in this situation, I probably would have thought it looked pretty cool. Anyways, on this flight I picked a window seat, like always, and I settle in. Not long after, a woman boards with her husband and her son, who's around 4 or 5 years old. Her husband has a seat in the row behind me, and she and her son have the middle and aisle seats in my row. Okay, but then if the kid is so scared, allegedly, then you can like, you know, just have the kid sit in the aisle. Or whatever. Okay, I'm kind of calling it here. I don't think the kid was concerned about this in the least. I think this was a scheme by this Karen to get the whole family to be on one row despite their poor planning. The moment her son saw me, he visibly recoils. Okay, maybe he isn't the kind of kid that thinks this is cool. That's a bummer. He should learn better. I am quite used to occasional glances and stares, and it doesn't bother me. But whenever I notice children looking scared of me, that always kind of hurts. Yeah, I can imagine. Like, adults have all kinds of like wacky ideas, and they should know better. But kids, it's kind of like, they're very pure in a way, so I can imagine why that's like more hurtful, you know? I know kids don't have filters, I understand, but I was expecting his mother to just tell him to knock it off or something. Man, I wish the kid thought it was cool, and you could have told the kid you're like a retired pirate or something. That would have been such a more wholesome story. God damn it. Instead, she asked me,
"Can you switch seats with my husband? My son's not exactly the most comfortable sitting next to you. I apologize. He's kind of scared here, so it would really help us out."
I told her that no, I wouldn't change seats because I wanted my window seat, to which she asked me a few more times before giving up and saying something along the lines of,
"Seriously? He's only a child. I thought you might be a little more sensitive."
And that pissed me off. I am sensitive. I have been sensitive about my face since the day I got surgery. I have avoided photos, mirrors, and public settings all too often. But apparently I'm not sensitive enough for choosing my own comfort over a random child's. To be honest, for a while after that I had to hold in tears because my disfigurement embarrasses me. And oftentimes I'm so embarrassed I don't go out much. That sounds like it absolutely sucks. And it also shows like how a lot of people lack complete empathy for this kind of stuff. Like how the mom doesn't realize that maybe it makes someone else uncomfortable when you're like, "You're literally scaring kids. I know you went through like probably surgery or cancer or something like that, but you know, it's like a complete lack of empathy." And this reminded me of exactly why. I understand a child is a child and people will stare, but I just hate how she treated me as I was doing something wrong by just existing. Yeah, this could have been like a wholesome learning and bonding experience for the child instead. But she just chose to be a Karen about it instead and make someone feel bad. Wow, go mom. Anyways, I'm in Boston, so yay. And I just hope that more parents would teach their kids that when they see someone who looks different, they're still normal people inside and don't deserve any different treatment than if they looked normal. It could have been such a wholesome and cool experience, but instead the mom completely ruined it. Yay. Entitled Parent told me to stop speaking Spanish to my own child in public. I am Latin. My husband is white. Our 2-year-old is bilingual. We speak both Spanish and English at home. I was grocery shopping with my son when I started chatting to him in Spanish. We were just going over fruit names. Manzana, plátano, fresa. It was cute. Out of nowhere, this woman, mid-40s maybe, turns around and says,
"This is America. Speak English."
I was caught off guard and just said, I am bilingual. He's learning both. She said,
"Well, I don't want my kid growing up around people who can't speak properly. It's confusing."
I said, that sounds like a you problem, and walked away. But she followed me to the next aisle.
"I'm just saying it's rude. We all speak English here. You're in public."
I looked her dead in the eyes and said, you're in public too. Why don't you mind your own damn business? A nearby employee overheard and asked if I needed help. She backed off immediately, muttering about entitlement. Oh my god, the irony. The absolute irony. Lady, I'm the one raising a child who speaks 2 languages. That's not rude. That's raising a global citizen. Try it sometime. I swear to God, I keep seeing these like 2 unhinged takes coming out from the US that like shoehorn theory their way to the same like horrible conclusion, right? One of them is this, like,
"This is America. Only speak English, blah, blah, blah."
and then there's the other one that is like, learning other languages is cultural appropriation. Never learn other languages. And it's like, you're both idiots, you know that, right? You're both absolute troglodytes. This is Sweden, we only speak IKEA and pankaka. Baby. Apparently, aunt needs to pay child support. My brother's ex-girlfriend told me I would be responsible for my brother's child support if she ever took him to court. She said her boss is a lawyer and she told her since I was living in the same house as my brother and he's unemployed, I would owe child support. I don't think that's how child support works. I laughed her in the face because I thought she was joking. But she was dead serious. I told her I would see her in court. I am the aunt, by the way, and have no parental rights whatsoever. I just graduated uni and started my career. I don't pay for any of my brother's bills or expenses. My mom does. My mom also spends a lot of money on the kids and they are taken care of. I pay my own share of rent and utilities. This is peak entitlement. So I can't pursue my own dreams of starting a family or having my dream life because I have to support hers? I am a lawyer, but not your lawyer. No lawyer in their right mind would say that. She is making it up. I thought she might have just misunderstood her boss, but now reading these replies, she obviously made it up. You would be surprised. I am in NYS and my brother's ex tried to get my financial records and a chunk of a house my grandmother left me because I was helping my brother out and letting him live rent-free in a house. Legit had a subpoena from her lawyer on it, which I had to get quashed by his or my lawyer. Ah, yes, indeed. That's peak parental entitlement. Child support from people who aren't even the kids' parents. Entitled dad tries to force my brother to give up his Make-A-Wish spot. My little brother, 15, has a terminal illness. He was recently granted a Make-A-Wish trip. He chose to meet a famous animator and tour their studio. That is so cool. An entitled dad from our community group caught wind and came over just to talk. He said his own son, 14M, who has severe social anxiety, deserves a wish too, and that my brother should pick something easier to share, like a Disney trip. Bruh, are you actually asking, like, a terminal child to give up, like, their dream tour of their favorite studio so you can get a free trip to Disneyland? Oh my god. I was stunned. I explained this was his dream and his time is limited. The dad said, "But your brother's barely out of bed most days. My kid would actually enjoy it." Holy f***. Does his son know that this is what he's demanding on his behalf? Like, does anyone in his family know this? This is probably something I would blast pretty publicly. This parent is insane. I told him to leave and never speak to my family again. He called my mom a week later and said, "Your son has the power to make another child happy. Selfishness isn't a good legacy." Ah, yes, the terminal child who's going to, like, make a wish for their favorite thing. Ooh, what a selfish child. My mom blocked him. My brother had the time of his life last weekend, and the animator even made a mini character of him. Screw that guy. Oh, I'm so happy that your brother had a good time. That is absolutely amazing. And what a whack neighbor. Holy crap. My mom keeps throwing out my vibrators. The contrast of stories in these are absolutely wild. I, 18F, spent a good bit of money a few months ago on getting this vibrator. It was around £90. I didn't really use it much, but I have always kept it in my drawer. My mom, 50F, is very nosy. When I was looking through my drawer for underwear, I noticed it was gone. She never mentioned it, and neither did I. Even though I barely used it, I was really pissed off because I spent my money on that, and I'm an adult legally who is in the mood sometimes, so what's the issue? It's normal. She never brought it up, and neither did I because it felt awkward as we don't really discuss that. I also, at the time, wasn't sure if she had taken it or it just was somewhere else around my room, and I just never found it. A couple of months later, I got another one. It was £30. This week, surprise, it also vanished from my drawer. She has a habit of searching through my room, so now I'm certain she has taken it and more than likely thrown it out. What kind of parent does this? What kind of parent goes through their kids' rooms like this? That sounds like a major breach of privacy. Lock your door, tell your mom to stop throwing out your things, and get a lock for the door. That's what I would do, honestly. This sounds insufferable. It's really aggravating me. I am an adult. It's normal, and it's my money. I mean, it's also illegal to just like destroy or throw away other people's things. So she's also doing a little crime, but it's also like a massive invasion of privacy. Even if she was only snooping, that's still like really overbearing. You know, it's one thing if your kid is selling crack cocaine from their bedroom, but like, do you really want to snoop through kids' stuff like this? You're not gonna like what you find, and that's because people do private stuff in the privacy of their rooms and their homes. Like, you know, people poo with their door closed for a reason. Why? Oh, we can't have locks on the door. What are you doing? Yeah, pooping. Do you want to look at me poo? She has not confronted me about taking it, but I know for sure this time she did, and I know she took the last one too. It's not any of her business, it's my own body. It's really frustrating. I have lost 120 pounds worth of my stuff. How do I even approach her about this? I mean, even if you don't want to mention the thing, or you can mention the thing to make her uncomfortable. Hey mom, you took this specific thing. Stop taking my stuff. I'm gonna lock my door. Next time I don't know, call the cops. Awkward or not, unless you confront her, your mother will continue to have boundary issues. I would put a lock on my door. Yeah, same thing here, and only have one key. If that is not possible, at the very least get a chest you can lock up. But I would only store my adult toy there with some heavy weights, so she can't easily pick it up to remove the entire thing. Or if it's a container that is very lightweight and easy to throw away the whole thing, then you can always get like a bike lock and attach it to like, I don't know, your bed frame or something like that. Like, it sounds excessive. This shouldn't be necessary, but there are ways to make it difficult enough that it's gonna heavily discourage snooping. Most people don't snoop when you require like a bolt cutter to do it. I have done exactly this with an old metal footlocker, except it wasn't toys I was locking up, it was my journals. Sadly, I feel like her mom will continue to have boundary issues even if OP does confront her. Reading Adult Children of Emotionally Mature Parents really opened up my eyes to this. It's an amazing book. Ooh, that's a good recommendation. I'm gonna look into that. But yeah, I think my conclusion to this is that you should bring it up just to let her know that you know, and then I would get a lock for the door and a box as well. Like, make it as difficult as possible to mess with your things, because most likely that will be enough of a deterrent. Like, I doubt your mom is gonna get like, you know, a bolt cutter to break into your room and then break into boxes, and you know, it becomes very hassly, and then like, how is she gonna explain, you know, two broken locks? You know, it's much easier to pretend like nothing happened if you just sneakily went through someone's drawer to throw stuff away. But how do you explain like literally broken down locks? You know, it leaves trails, and that is a very big discouraging factor for a lot of people. But yeah, she sounds insufferable. I hope you get to move away to college or something soon, because no one should have that level of privacy breaches in their own room and their own house. My family disowned me 15 years ago. Complete no contact. Now, all at once, they want to come back into my life and are stalking me. I finally confronted them. Yeah, that smells like they want something. The times I have seen this happen is usually because they want something, not because they suddenly care after 15 years. I don't know if this goes here. I just needed to get it out. I confronted them today and I can't stop crying or shaking. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me right now. I am finally calming down a little to get this done. So I am 36 male, and I got into some trouble 15 years ago. I take all the responsibility for this, and even to this day, I carry all the shame, guilt, and embarrassment for it. Also, this might come up. This is not a cultural or religious thing. It's just shame to the family name. The situation when I was 19, my ID was stolen and being used in another state, and created a situation where my driver's license was suspended nationwide. Somehow, any and all notifications from the other state never made it to me. I started doing all the necessary things I needed to do to try to fix the problem. However, I had a couple of tickets in my current state that I needed to pay but couldn't because I needed to pay my rent and keep my apartment. Also, at the time, my full-time job was having problems and was borderline shutting down. So to try and make ends meet, I was doing a lot of freelance work as well. Again, my fault. I mean, this doesn't sound like anything excessive. When you started off with those sentences, I was expecting like, oh yeah, I was fucking selling crack at my high school. You know, I wasn't expecting like, you know, I was a broke 19-year-old, had literally my ID stolen, and what, you had a couple of parking tickets? Like, if this is the worst you've done, you should not feel bad about this. This is super duper mundane stuff, my dude. You're good, okay? I mean, I would even argue most of this isn't even something bad that you've done. Anyone can get parking tickets. I've got plenty of parking tickets in my day for like misunderstanding signs. One time I even accidentally wrote the wrong car number into my parking app, and I paid both a ticket and got ticketed. Absolutely amazing system. And having your ID stolen, that's something you were victimized of. That's a crime that someone did to you. That's not something you did wrong. If this is the reason your family disowned you, they are absolutely bonkers. I knew the company was in trouble, but I was still holding out hope that things would get better. I was hoping that a couple more freelance jobs and I would be able to finally pay the tickets. This was never the case, and long story short, I was arrested and spent 2 weeks in jail. Okay, so 2 weeks in jail for unpaid parking tickets, I guess? That's hardly a horrible crime. Not ideal, but I guess in the long run it worked out for the best by clearing the tickets in my home state. However, my family felt otherwise, and I was completely disowned because of this. Wait a second, so like you're a 19-year-old kid. When I was 19, I was still in fucking high school, man. I wasn't making any money. So your 19-year-old is having trouble because their ID got stolen and they have a couple of parking tickets they can't pay. So instead of just being, all right, son, I'll cash app you $200, you know, pay me back when you can. Instead of just doing that, you let it get to the point where they get arrested for 2 weeks and then you disown them for it. A 19-year-old that is like still in high school. Wow, this family is insane. However, my family felt otherwise, and I was completely disowned because of this. I lost everything and everyone. The only reason I still had my apartment was because I had enough to cover the rent and the freelance work kept up. It took another 6 months, but I was finally able to get the other state to release my driver's license. I decided that since my family hated me, I didn't need them. So a year later, I changed my last name, phone number, and email. Honestly, good on you. A family that abandons you in this way and disowns you instead of like, I don't know, helping out your teenager pay for a parking ticket, then they're not that worth having in your life. Like, what would happen the next time you encounter like a problem in life and you need some support from your family? Are they gonna like disown you again? Like, if this is their threshold for like literally disowning your own kids, then they can't really be counted on one way or another. They're not family. My social media is locked down so tight you would think I was hiding national security secrets. I was able to finish college and get settled into my career, and at this point I am happier than I have ever been. Hell yeah. Pop off, queen. Enter current time. And 2 weeks ago there was a knock on my door, and it was my mom and dad. Again, it had been 15 years, and I hadn't spoken to them. Not one word. The only thing I could get out of my mouth was, "How did you find me? And what are you doing here?" My mom's response was,
$5 grand to a PI. Finally, a search of Facebook with just your first name found you, and the PI confirmed it was you.
I responded, "You didn't answer my second question. What are you doing here?" My mom again,
It's been 15 years. Looking at where you are, it seems you've learned your lesson and you are succeeding. You've missed out on a lot of things.
15 years, half a lifetime. You're like, oh, you learned your lesson. We abandoned you for 15 years for a parking ticket, baby. Hope you learned your lesson to never get a parking ticket again. What the fuck is wrong with these people? I ended with, yes, I have learned my lesson. One of them is don't think anyone will ever help you or be understanding, even your family. And yes, I did succeed, and I did it entirely without you. Please leave and don't ever come back. Yeah, that's a perfectly valid response. That's a good clapback. The lesson you learned was that you don't need them and they're not family. It's not the lesson they wanted you to learn, but it's the lesson that gets taught in these kind of situations. I shut the door in their face, locked it, checked the back door, and closed all the curtains. I'm guessing they hung around for another 15 minutes, knocking, demanding to be let in. I went back to bed, turned the fan on high, and went back to sleep. I did some research, and I have missed out on a lot. I have nieces and nephews, brothers and sister-in-laws, but the truth is, I don't know any of them, and I don't think I need to. I live a very quiet life. I can count on 2 hands how many friends I actually have. A friend said I may have taken it too far, that I should have given them a chance, and if I didn't like what they had to say, then I could have told them to go away. No, I wouldn't give anyone a chance after something like this. They have already shown their attitude about it. Who the hell drops into someone's life after 15 years to like rub it in their face and be like, I hope you learned your lesson when we abandoned you when you were 19 because of a parking ticket? These aren't people you want in your life. These are super duper petty people who believe they have the right to punish you one way or another for like super duper petty things instead of, I don't know, being supportive family. These people are gonna be a nightmare to have in your life. And also, you're perfectly correct when it comes to like the nephews and stuff like that. Sure, they're technically family, but you don't know any of them. Like, the only thing you share are like maybe some genes, and that's it. These aren't people you've seen growing up, and they haven't seen you. You don't know them. It's been like half your lifetime. You were a teenager last time you saw anyone. Like, it's a completely different stage of your life. I'm also surprised none of them reached out to you during all of this. Like, even if your parents are stinky poo-poos that literally abandon you for a parking ticket, I'm surprised no one else had the decency to like check in and see how you're doing and that kind of stuff. Everyone was just fine with your parents abandoning one of the kids. And also, like, the standard it sets for everyone else, it's like, oh gee, I guess if we ever get a parking ticket, you know, get ready to get disowned, I guess. Like, how is the rest of the family on board with this? It's insane. Is this a cult? I was hoping that this was gonna be the end of it, but no. They have taken to stalking me. I'll be completely honest. They are harmless, but just a real pain in the ass. And also, I have been freaking with them and having some fun with the help of a friend. He now calls them fleas and will check on me asking if I have fleas or not. It's kinda funny. If I say yes, then it's game on. Oh, she had like code words. Nice. The first night he came over and we walked downtown to a really expensive restaurant that I knew they were never going to go to. Another night we went to to an adult store. That was the best one. Oh, so you're like baiting them. That's so funny. This past week, my days off felt like I had a 5-day stretch, so I decided to go to the city for a few days. I am walking distance to the Amtrak station and they followed me, but they're like actively walking after you? Don't they have lives of their own? Or like, I don't know, nephews and shit to care about? Or jobs? This is what they do now? Great. I kept my AirPods in the whole time, and I know they were trying to talk to me, but I ignored them the entire time. I think you can probably get a restraining order for this kind of stuff. Like, record everything, because stuff like this gets to a point where you can actually make it a legal case. People on the platform were even telling me that they were talking to me, and I said that I know, but I don't want to deal with them. The train came, and I got on and left them to watch. I loved it. It got to the point I finally had to acknowledge them. They weren't going to go away, so we met at the park across from my apartment. I didn't hold anything back. I told them this was the one and only time I was going to talk to them. I took a page from the Matlock series and told them I was their judge. I was their jury. Thank you, Olympia Lawrence. I then told them that as far as I was concerned, they were guilty of anything and everything, and all I was doing was hearing what they had to say before I walked away from them. I asked them why now, after 15 years, they are demanding to be back in my life, and why they made the decisions they did to disown me. They told me that I ruined the family name, and that the shame I brought to the family was horrible, and that this was the only way to make it right to get rid of me. Or, you know, before he brought shame to the family name, you could have, I don't know, helped him pay for the 2 parking tickets, and nothing would have ever happened. That's, you know, also a course of action that maybe would have been a little bit easier, but no, I guess not. They said that recently my name had been coming up in conversation, and that the family has grown with a lot of new people. That brother and sister-in-law are asking questions about who is Brynley, that I have a niece who they think I would love and get along with, and the same for a nephew who was born last year, and now should be the time to fix things. They said that looking at my apartment and the life I had, that I must be learning my lesson about being a better person and managing my life better. Ah, so they're still really patronizing and judgy. Yeah, that's not selling it. I finally cut them off and told them I couldn't stand to hear anymore. I was at the point I could hear my heart beating in my ears. I told them that I did everything completely by myself. Nobody from that life exists anymore. Not one person. That they just needed to tell everyone the truth. That I was in jail for 2 weeks, and because of this decision was made to get rid of me. I told them that I did it all on my own, and that my one cousin Jean, who is only a cousin by marriage, was the one who was there for me, and hence why I took her last name. Oh, that's pretty beautiful. You at least had someone who cared. Jesus Christ. I told them that to this day, I am doing everything on my own and rely on nobody, and I don't need or want them in any way of my life. They made the decision and I am making mine. I told them this will be the last time we talk and that I would be going to see a lawyer if there was anything that could be done to keep them away from me, and that if they continued to follow me around or show up at my apartment, I would have them arrested for trespassing. And I went back home and again locked everything down, pulled the curtains, and have been crying since. They disowned you over a couple of traffic tickets? The real damage to any honor they have is that they didn't help out their son when he was in financial trouble. I'm willing to bet that they want money from you now that you're living a good life. It feels like this is the kind of people that would only come back because they want something, right? I seriously doubt this. Like, oh my god, your name came up once over dinner when like a brother-in-law asked, so now we need to repair everything all of a sudden after 15 years? No, they want something. They want something, for sure. For real, I kept reading and thinking, wait, there's got to be something more. This family disowned their child over a couple of traffic tickets? What? Dude, you did nothing wrong. Stop taking the blame for any of this. And please get it out of your head that you are ashamed to the family name. The only people who should be ashamed is them. And quite frankly, if that's the type of family they want to be, then I'm thinking there isn't much there in the first place. Traffic tickets. Unreal. My cousin Jean came over the other day, but I'm not sure what was going through her head, but she just showed up with wine, pizza, and cheesecake. God, I love that woman. I was really struggling with all of this, and she could tell. She finally just sat down and told me that a lot of other people have told me. None of this was my actual fault. I hit the perfect storm and it went into a hurricane. She revealed a lot of family secrets that she felt I needed to know, which really made me look at my parents in a different and truly negative way. That could maybe be a separate, updated post. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, there are a lot of like weird red flags here that make me believe that they're hiding a bunch of stuff. Like, they don't act like, you know, normal parents would. And, you know, family name and stuff, I don't know what the cultural background to this is, but that is insane. Even if you're worried about your family name to that extent, you know, it's like, oh my god, consequences in the community or whatever. I would imagine that you would be more keen about getting your son out of that trouble before shit hits the fan if it's so concerning for the family name. You know, just prevent it to begin with, instead of like disowning your kids. Isn't that more of a family name shame thing? It's like, oh, how do you explain that you literally have no contact with one of your kids? Oh, they had a traffic ticket. Isn't that like more shameful for the family name? That sounds insane. And also, it doesn't surprise me if they have more shady stuff going on, because no one reaches out like this out of nowhere after 15 years, unless they kind of want something. You know, that's the theme. I have seen 99% that is the case. Well, laddies, lasses, and lassos, I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed having you here, and remember to check out the Gaycation emotional support team and link down below, and I will see you again in the very near future. Take care. Mwah.